Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
All right, so we're live. We're live with Jim Chester. Hey, Jim.
Hey, guys. Great. Just ready to rock this place with you and to tell people how they can grow their practices.
Don't ever get an office where they're building condos next door. It's like, so I'm going to be turning my mic on and off, like I was saying, as we go through this. It's almost like there's no need to introduce who you are. You've been on this podcast like twice before, but let's do it anyways. Like, give us how about let's make it interesting, like 2 or 3 sentences max. Or maximum, like, who is Jim Chester?
Chiropractic advocate, podcaster, director, new patient specialist. That's kind of the bullet points, but we're taking chiropractic outside the 4 walls of chiropractic with our work. And we're really influencing a culture to understand it from a different perspective. And I think it's a healthy perspective. So yeah, that's what Jim Chester is doing, but we're growing our relationship with influencers. And I think as that happens more frequently, chiropractic starts to cross-pollinate into a larger conversation. And that was really the impetus of what we started to do with Chiro Hustle and filmmaking. So to summarize quickly, that's it.
So I want to hear a story. So like, you and I met, it's got to be what, 3, 4, it's probably about 4 years ago. We really started down this path around the same time. And then look where we are today. And actually even joining forces in essence. So I remember some of those first conversations, and you were just so passionate about creating that first documentary for chiropractic. And now, I mean, you just seem to be like in this production creation mode all of the time. So what is it that drives you, though, to continue to produce and to help more doctors?
I just enjoy working with so many amazing personalities. I think that's been one of like the real gems of doing what we did, is we got a chance to have more connection, and which gives us the ability to be a higher level in the contribution phase. And I think really the opportunities that have happened because we've been so consistent. And now I get on calls, as you do, where people with great ideas are looking for us to help them filter through it and to build the right thing. And I just love the idea that we can be high-level contributors and have such great connection with people. And yeah, it just drives me so hard because I know that the things that we share with people transforms their lives. And a lot of times people really have a hard decision on who to trust to be their influence. And building relationships with people over the past 3 to 4 years has been super inspiring to me. And that's really why we keep doing things the way we do. And joining forces with you has been super inspiring as well, to see how you can do live events, to see how you pour out so much of your heart and intention to people to help them with their strategy. And I think that really this comes from a learning position to a teaching position to other people doing the same. And really, I feel like that's how I came into your camp and how I've learned to create systems and strategies. And now we're sharing that with other people, and we're creating blueprints for people, and we're talking to them about actionable stuff that will get them to have more exposure. So I think those have been, like, since the past 4 years, after the first interview I had with you being so jacked up about Chiropractic, the documentary, we haven't really taken our foot off the gas at all.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that you're probably the hardest working marketer, supporter of chiropractic in this profession. I mean, you never stop, man. I don't always going. There's something interesting too that I observed. I mean, it's like you've been really great at building a tribe, like building culture, and like people, like they trust you, and there's a lot of loyalty. What is it like that you feel is like the strongest, like most vital component of building culture and trust with an authority?
I think the most important thing I learned is move the free line
Okay, cool.
and create content that people will actually use. And I think that's what you did with the chiropractic philanthropist. And I noticed that I took notice of that quickly. And I was like, hey, if we could create a brand that we just gave a lot of great stuff to people, people will support us. So I figured out how to move the free line with good content. And then, one of the most important things that people should know is like nurturing, getting clients to get a one-time purchase from you. Yeah, that will get you through that month. But what about nurturing somebody into doing business with you for the next 10 years? And I think that that's how we look at what we're doing right now is penetrating the market from give, love, serve, like chiropractic,
Hmm.
but also, building the business on the back end of it. And that's why I was so attracted to you and your systems, because I saw that you're giving people this understanding and this strategy to build that freedom for them. And something that I'll tell people that I never did up until my 40th year was I never had a coach. I never joined a mastermind group. I never actually had the money to. So when we want to talk about like baseline, leveling up, like make the investment to get in with a group of people that will help inspire you and connect you to bigger opportunities. I think that that's really what makes us the most rich is now we have decided to hire coaching. We have decided to join masterminding. And now there's me subordinating to say, you know what? I don't have it all figured out. I'm no longer the smartest guy in the room. I'm just like you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. And I think this is a conversation that we have often on the chiropractic philanthropist is that, you can't do it in isolation. Like you have to have, everyone has, I'm sure Tony Robbins has a coach. Like, I mean, everyone has a coach. I like this conversation where we're going here about branding, about culture, about tribe, because, we are in, this is the discussion of the new patient, right? Like, how do we attract new patients? But then I like how you say, like, how do we not lose them? Right? How do we maintain those? And let's face it, I mean, business is business. And something I've been really great at is like building loyalty, trust, and not just having a transactional business, right? Where just someone buys something, but and this is the same with I think inside of the chiropractic practice is about how do you have people who will stay on care, be compliant, and stay with you for a lifetime. So what is it? Is it all about content and value that keeps the trust there, that allows people to keep investing in you and have that loyalty? Would you say that's correct?
No, honestly, I think the thing that gives the trust and loyalty to people is they know that I've worked in a chiropractic office. They
Mm-hmm.
know that I've gone out and scheduled in thousands of people with my systems and strategies, and they appreciate that, I think, the most. I think that they're most impressed with my ability to go out and sell chiropractic. And I think that that's one of the common things that most people are attracted to what we've done. I mean, the podcast is the catalyst and moves the free line. The movies are the catalyst to move the free line. But when it comes down to it, the money aspect is people can make money with my strategies, and that people could hire me at one point to come out and do events for them and see how I could build the strategy into their business. And I think that that's really the attractive know, like, and trust aspect within the profession. But we've taken multi-tiers, we figured out that if we wanted to penetrate the market, we had to do something that wasn't there before. If we wanted to penetrate the market, we had to be super consistent. If we wanted to penetrate the market, then I had to be like the hometown hero for the profession and go out there and sell the damn profession and teach others how to do it. So I really think that the real value with what we've done with Hustle and the brands that I've helped command is being authentic to how to teach people how to make money.
And so is this something that you teach or you can teach doctors to do? Like like duplicate your results for them? Or is it something that you find a lot of doctors are just like, I don't want to do that. I'll just rather have Jim come and do it for me.
Well, there's different, on our decade and a day, we talked about these different tiers of influence that I could do with people. And I really think that the person that gets the most value out of it is the one that gets one-on-one time with me and gets
Yeah.
that that hand-holding treatment. I think honestly, there's nothing cooler under the sun than going out and seeing me like perform. Um, I love it. I love ramping up offices with my abilities, but I also think that if people did want to have it done by themselves, they could jump into new patients in a box systems, and they could start. Actually, the training could be done in 3 days,
Wow.
maybe a day, and you could go out and like get ROI on this within like as soon as you finish it, you can get ROI. So, so those are pretty much the two like hooks that I would give to people is hire me outright or jump in and figure out how to do it for yourself. And here's something that you pointed out to me when we got together in Vancouver. This doesn't have to be a labor intensive do it by yourself doctor.
Mm.
This is maybe a labor intensive of love that you do with your team, and you nurture this into your team environment. And that's really what makes this this will work even better is if you don't look at it like you had to be the Lone Ranger, but you look at it as you get to be a part of something to grow the practice. And whoever gets deployed on these types of events has a fun time doing it.
Yeah, that's a crazy, and I think you're kind of alluding to screenings as well and things like that. But I would sometimes dread going to a screening. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to be at a screening the whole day. But as I actually got fired up, the more I was there and the more I spoke to people, the more people I turned the light of chiropractic onto, it was like, I would be jazzed, and I'm an introvert. So normally I'm like drained at the end of those things. So, but yeah, it would just pump me up. I mean, and then I was on fire, and it wasn't about that we had like a whole bunch of new people coming in the practice the next week. It was like, I got to talk about chiropractic and the gifts that we are allowed to give to, well, that we can contribute to our community every month, every year, right? So if a doc is listening right now, right, what is the one thing that you've been finding right now that is the biggest gap in terms of like new patient marketing or anything that you see right now inside of the profession? What's the one area?
I think that we have to get out to our communities again. And, as they used to say, pat babies on the head and shake hands. I think we have to get back to like grassroots marketing efforts. I'm not saying that because it would directly benefit my bank account, but I think it would definitely benefit the bank account of chiropractic. And I think that when we become more accessible, we become more of a resource to our community. We become referable then. I mean, there's so many different levels of influence when you become a cultural icon in your community, and people know that that's where they go to for quality chiropractic care. I can't tell you how important it is that the people that don't schedule with you, you set a precedence with them to when they do want to come to a chiropractor, they call you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's one the source places like pain points in chiropractic is community events, but having the confidence to do them and knowing that you don't have to do it alone. And I think that so many times, like how you built a chiropractic philanthropist, it was a lot of Ed Osborne time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of, chop the wood, carry the water, light the fire by yourself. And when you
Yeah.
did that, you built something really special. But a lot of people don't have that same intestinal fortitude to keep carrying on.
Here's the actual truth is I'm still chopping a lot of wood, Jim. So it's like 5 hours of calls today. And here's the thing is too, I mean, that you have a great brand is when, you know, people want to connect with you. So, I mean, and that, I think I find that's a big piece of you is you've been able to build that trust. And like people want to connect with Jim, right? When you were here, people wanted to connect with you, right? And I think that's an important thing that you teach in terms of culture and tribe building, with doctors, isn't it? Is like, it's how they can become that person that is like, we call it the go-to, but it's really, that's just connection. People want to connect with them, right?
I think the real thing is that resonates with people is I tell people to just be social on social.
Mm,
And when you comment to people and when you like their posts, that's nurturing. And I think that when you work with your patients, you ask for referrals and you get to that point of asking for a testimonial, that's nurturing.
mm,
I think when you go out to your community and you schedule people in and you follow up with them properly and you schedule them through a day one, day two process and get them to stay, pay, and refer, that's nurturing. And
mm,
I think that we need to really pay attention to the nurturing process of how we build our tribe, how we build our voice. And that's how you built what you have, Ed, is you've nurtured the relationships to the degree that now you can help people. But you didn't do that by not investing in coaching. You didn't do that by not being consistent. You didn't do that by not caring about the people that you got a chance to have access to. You
yeah.
did that, but you leveled up because you paid attention to people and you nurtured them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I actually just literally did a advanced training on branding inside of our group. And one of the things we talked about was status, or at least I talked about was status was like people, like, you're doing it right when you've built a brand around yourself, or you've just built that following, that movement, and people really like, they want to be part of what you're doing. Right. They want to be part of Cairo Hustle and what Jim represents. They want to be part of the documentaries. And that's what we call status, isn't it? It's basically they want to be part of something. They want to up level their status. It's like I use the example of like Apple's really good at this, right? Is that I don't know if they're necessarily the best desktops and laptops out there, but they've done a really good, I feel a certain way when I have an Apple laptop, right? So it makes me feel a certain way. And I think it's the same thing as, and that's one of the things you've done really well is, people feel a certain way when they get to work with you, right? Um, is is that part of also like what you're teaching? Because I feel like that's part of also what you're teaching doctors when you go out and you do that time, like when you spend time with them, is you're teaching those vital missed components of branding and building culture and tribe. Is that correct?
It's so true. And it goes into like the human psychology of connection. And for people that don't know, my first claim major going into college was psychology. My second claim major going into college, halfway through year one, I switched into teaching. So I came into the chiropractic space with a teacher brain and a psychological brain. And then I transitioned that into journalism and marketing. And that's what I finished my degree with. So early on, I had like this idea that I was going to help people like unsubluxate their thoughts, if we will. And then I had the idea that I was going to teach people how to nurture into a better quality of education. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that full time. But with journalism, I figured out that I could connect with a whole large audience and I could be that voice of reason for like a whole like arena. So I was really inspired by that. Like as we've transitioned into this, like, this positioning within the chiropractic spaces, I don't only get to be like a friend and help people, but I also get to be a leader and show people. And I also get to be a contributor and be in a really amazing group of people that are really, I call us digital geniuses inside of our group because we're all creating something really special and important that is helping people.
I mean, and you're also before we started recording, and we talked about this even when you were here for the mastermind, was you've actually had quite a bit of success within our Instagram.
Yeah, that's one of the things, we've been doing some really cool Instagram marketing that's been driving actually calls to me that I get a chance to get people on a sales call and get people to buy our program, New Patients in a Box. And that's happened pretty darn quick. Somebody will jump on the call with me from an Instagram like funnel system. That's just like they take a day on my Calendly link and they take a 10-minute call. Before I know it, I convert them in like 10-minute phone call to become a client for New Patients in a Box. So yeah, Instagram marketing, I think is a new frontier that a lot of people don't know how to convert through.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's some stuff that we're figuring out that is going to help other people how to convert through Instagram, not just having a picture profile.
Yeah, I have no idea how to use it. I've told you this. I'm like, I actually got rid of my account. And then after our conversation, I started the account back up and I see people like, hey, so-and-so, Dr. So-and-so just started following you. I literally have no idea what I'm doing on Instagram, but it's the conversation I would love to learn about. And it's certainly, so when I see, and we talk about this often, is when I see a problem and I know there's a solution, which clearly you have results and you have a solution there, that's certainly an opportunity for doctors. If you can show them not just how to post something like a pretty picture on Instagram, but to actually get a result where people are having conversations with their clinics, that would be pretty cool. But I'll just kind of like as a segue to that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to drop a couple links. The first link will be for new patients in a box. So everyone who's listening right now, you can actually head to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. We'll have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with Jim today, and we'll have all the resources he's going to be providing, plus a link to the new patients in a box. You can check it out. Whether it's metabolic syndrome, diabetes, or pure weight loss, Chiro Keto can help your patients get to a new level of health. It's a plug-and-play system that gets results. Right now, get $200 off your office sign-up with the discount code TCP2019. Go to chiroketo.com and sign up now. And now, I get this all the time. There's people who have questions that are on the fence. So we'll also drop the link for his appointment scheduler, and you can do a 10-minute call with Jim. And you actually so Jim, it's not a salesperson. It's actually you who picks up the phone, right?
Actually, one of the things I learned from you is to become harder to get in touch with. So this gives people like a direct path to me. So it's no one else. It's going to be me that jumps on the phone. Yeah. I'm gonna ask you where you're at. I'm going to ask you where we can get you, and then I'll be able to tell you how we can best help you. And I think that that's really what people want, is they just want somebody to hold their damn hand, and they want to say, yes, come into my group, buy my stuff, and I'll have access to you. So yes, when people do hit that link, they'll be able to get directly through to me.
And here's the thing is, like with the new patients in a box, I mean, they're getting these are strategies that are, maybe not all of them are new, but they're new systems, new ways of creating a flow of income or flow of new patients. Plus there's also some new and innovative strategies inside the box, right?
Yeah. To me, it's not like reinventing the wheel, but it was building a system that people could go through A through Z as fast as possible and start getting results. So I basically took what I did over 600 events and I started to catalog that into a strategy. And then I was like, well, if I did this on this day, what if I did it this way again? So I figured out like these due process things. And then I was like, wow, if I just do this and I tell somebody else to go do this and they do it the same way that I did it, then they'll get similar outcome. And I was like, well, why don't I make a course out of this and teach people how to do this stuff? So I don't think it's like advanced, like, you don't have to be a mathlete to figure it out. But you can definitely go through the course and figure out things that you might not have known before. And it's extremely effective.
Do you know how many courses I have purchased in the last, let's say 3 weeks? Can you guess?
At least 4.
At least 4. So actually I purchased, I think actually it's 4, Jim. So I will purchase, I don't care what it is. Like, I mean, I've purchased a course. It was like $97. I purchased a course that was like, I think it was like $300. Another one that was $200. I'm still waiting for I purchased my own course, Jim. Like so I did the one day, what is it? The 30-day challenge or whatever with Russell Brunson, just so I could get a copy of the book that I wrote a chapter in. But I mean, like because I want to learn from everyone. So like there's docs that are listening right now who might even be not just on the fence, right? But they might also feel like they think they know it all. They got all this stuff down. And I guarantee, I mean, I'm buying my own stuff and listening to it, right, with other people who are experts around me, who I've been in rooms with, but I always pick up something new. I'm always in that level of like trying to learn and like expand. And so I'm going to really encourage docs to go check out the new patients in a box, because ultimately at the end of the day, this is all about growing inside of our community and really saving. It is, like I used to say this in practice, but it's so true. It is about saving lives. Like it's about like, and we would see this, like this magic that would happen in practice. And none of that would have happened if we had not connected and brought those people into our practice. So yeah, I'm going to encourage the docs, check that out. Check out the link. Sorry, I got some drilling, so I'm going to pass this over to you for a second. So Jim, why don't you do this? Why don't you drop a result? Tell us a little bit about one of the people who have actually either done some work with you and what the results of that was, or someone who actually invested in the box and what their results were.
Awesome. Yeah, I like to do a little storytelling. So I recently sold a program to a doc, and he went through half of the training, and he didn't even finish all the modules, and they're really quick modules, but he went through half the training, went out and had the most successful event that he's ever had, and scheduled in 10 people, where before he'd be happy to get maybe 1 or 2 from an event. So that was like really encouraging, just to see that somebody that didn't even like go through the whole training could like get so much value out of half of it. There's other people that were stubborn. They were on the fence about, joining into it because they've been in practice 16 years, 20 years. And, they're like, you know what, I've been there, done that, did screenings before, they sucked. And they actually got out of their own way, bought the course, went out, had great experiences, had 100% show rate with people that they scheduled, 10, 18, maybe like 24 new patients within 3 events, where they were at maximum 4 hours. So they were at 16 hours of work, and they got in like 24 new patients. And I think that that's like, kind of a carrot on the string in front of the horse, saying, hey, if you go out there and do this, what would it do to your practice if you had 8 new patients and 6 new patients and 10 new patients, and all of a sudden you had 24 new patients coming in after going out and doing 3 events? And if you were to imagine that and multiply that by doing 20 events a month, and it wasn't you doing it, and it was your team out there helping you, and you were getting these new patients coming in on this conveyor belt, and you knew that it was predictable each month that if you went out there and put on 5 to 20 events, how predictable your growth of your business would be, because you've implemented a system that works. So just as, putting the carrot out there on the string in front of the horse, conversation, I think that that's pretty powerful.
Well, and I know, because we've talked about this before, I know what the investment is for new. I mean, it's less than 1 person converting. So it's a fraction, and it's almost like, and we know that it will not always be that way. I mean, I know exactly when that number is going to be going up. So let me ask you this. I mean, because it is new patients in a box, do they get a members area, or is it everything delivered to them on a drive? Is that how it works?
So right now we put them into a members area, and we push them into a private Facebook group that has a unity of 46 members now. And people are in there sharing best practices. They're sharing if they do a day 1 and not a day 2-day process. They talk about how to speed up the delivery from my systems, and to change that from a 2-day step process to a 1-day step process.
Hold on, I only got to stop it. So instead of having a day 1, day 2, you have a day 1, and that's it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sold.
So it's speeding up that process of conversions, and it's taking less time on the staff. It's taking less time on the schedule. It's actually condensing it down to where you can get somebody in, do the exam, the consultation, the health history, and then be able to tell them what you found, how much concern there is, and how you can help them, and do all that in 30 minutes, and then get people to stay and to convert. So I think that that's really cool that we could actually speed up the process a little bit.
Yeah. Hold on. So this is not just new patients in a box. This is new patients and conversions in a box.
Yeah. And with what we've developed after I did those 600 events in 2.5 years, 70% of those people that I scheduled actually made their first visit.
Wow.
So when you have predictability in a system that you can then replicate into your strategy, now you're saying, wow, it's not just going out there and doing sucky screening events.
Yes.
These don't suck. and my bank account doesn't suck anymore either.
Well, I mean, here's the big thing too, is like, so for me, when I was in practice, and I know a lot of docs practice this way, so it would be, so let's say we schedule 50 new ones, right? So we'll call it new ones, like everyone's lingo in chiropractic. And then what happens is, like, now I'm like, I'm sweating it, right? For the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks, as we're scheduling people out, and I'm doing all of these new patient exams, booking them to come back for results. At the same time, doing possibly like a 2-day report with like a doctor's report, right? So really, I'm scheduling them for like 3 appointments, and it would be like, and first of all, you're gonna have attrition just because people will fall off because it's too long a process. And then the other part of it is, it was like literally not serving me. Like, it was hard, man. And so here's what I've learned in just business in general. And I'm sorry for the drilling, but here's what I've learned in just business in general is, especially online business, but this is business of any, like a chiropreneur entrepreneur, is it's always about sales and leads, right? You can, so sales, or I should say leads, let's start there. Leads is like really new patients, right? And then sales is really just conversions. And you're solving both of those things in a box, and you're doing it and you're getting them time back by doing it in 1 day versus like, I have 3 days of work to do. That's pretty crazy, man.
Well, the thing I like most about it, Ed, is the sales cycle. We've actually taught people how to take a sales cycle and make it super, super effective, and get people to show up, number one, but number two, to get the doctor having enough confidence to know that this person's going to stick. And I think that a lot of times when people go into those day one, day two process, it's nothing against them. I totally applaud that system. But when you get people to stick faster, it is less time on your staff. It's less time on your light bills. It's less time on your, pondering if this person's going to make their second visit. It's less time on, your certainty with being able to communicate what you do, why you do it, and who it's for. You do know your avatar, and that's a person that needs chiropractic care. And you do know what your deliverable is, and that's to get them under care. And when you can convey that faster to that person, you're actually saving them time too. And you're actually getting probably more people to commit than to bring them back for a second visit, because I don't know what the psychology behind the 2-visit arena is, other than having the x-rays, being able to do that report properly based on what you find. But when you can do that and then, be able to have that conversation with somebody faster, it's actually going to change the paradigm of getting people to not miss that second visit.
Yeah. And you get them to experience the results of chiropractic, like the adjustment on day one.
I think, the more that you can value stack the offer that you provide to the new patient, they're actually going to be able to see that you're actually going to be able to take care of them. And I always tell people that you'll come in for the first visit or the first 2 visits. If you come in, you don't feel like this is the right fit for you, there's no strings attached for further care. But if you build a relationship with us and you think that we're a good fit for you, now you are going to want to stay, and you're going to want us to take care of you and your whole family. And I think that when we change that paradigm of how we communicate that to people, nobody wants to sign up for something and feel like imposed into it. But everybody wants to make that decision. So if you give them the opportunity to make that decision, to stay with you and not to feel rushed or pressured into it, it changes the whole sales cycle.
Yeah. It's, well, here's one of the other things that I found too, right? Was that, so that you would do a really solid exam, blow people away, because, part of branding, part of your, connection is experience. So we would give them a great experience, and they'd be like, man, I have never had an experience like this in a doc's office before. Then they would go home and they would get poisoned. We call it poisoned by their spouse, their coworkers, their family. And then we would just like, they would either cancel their follow-up visit, not show for their doctor's report. And so we would have this immediate attrition, where I knew that if I had only just addressed the problem and the cause right there, right, that day, they would have been a chiropractic, fan, like a maven for life. So yeah, I love this. This is a really great conversation, because one of the things we talk about too, in again, in business is business, but like the laptop lifestyle or whatever, is like, if you can find something that people are doing, and and it working. I think the day 1, 2, possibly 3. I mean, if you can flip that on its head and get people results faster, then that is where your niche is, right?
Well, as I've paid attention to this marketplace, as you noticed, I've analyzed every aspect of the whole culture. Chiropractic is like my wheelhouse, and what I realized that I really admired about something that's probably going to make people feel a little gun shy right now, but I'm going to say this: I like the joint. I like the way that they process their recommendations. I like the way that they do their exams. I like the way that they speed up chiropractic. And I think that there's a method behind what they do that is so smooth that the doc's not actually doing the financials. The doc is actually making recommendations and telling them to go pay the front desk person. And they just go up there and they say, "Oh, all right, Dr. Johnson said that you need to come in for 24 visits. This is the cost. This is the cost of it. Go pay them." And they're like, "Oh, hey, we got your your fee schedule here. Doc says that you're supposed to pay for 24 visits today. Let's go ahead and get that taken care of." So it actually takes the doc out of the hot seat and it puts that onto the person that just collects money and schedules people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who love and hate, I think, the joint, right? Yeah, but I mean, I can respect that too. I mean, clearly they're doing something right.
I just like the fact that they could speed up, not taking the pressure on the doc anymore. I made this analogy to Luke yesterday. If you guys don't know Luke, he's the other part of Cairo Hustle. But I was like, one of my favorite baseball teams is the Chicago Cubs, and they got this guy named Javier Baez, who's like an MVP candidate. He's so damn good. He can steal bases. He makes plays that no one else can make. He hits for home runs. He hits for average. Like, he's just an all-star. Okay. He makes these amazing plays. But I was like, Luke, think about Javier Baez. Think if he had to like do the recruiting for the Cubs, if he had to pay the manager, pay the third base coach, the first base coach, work on the talent of like the rest of the player development, make sure that the guy in the bullpen's head's right. If he had to do all these things, he would not be looking at a color chart when he shows up to the game that says hit the ball here.
Right.
He would be like, "Damn, when's my phone bill due? How are we gonna like plan a schedule for like events for games for us? How are we going to motivate the closer to come in here and play the right way? How are we going to make a colored chart for me to hit?" So I think that you and I, what we've done is we figured out all these strategies to figure out, how to help people find out where their hit chart is, and just letting them do what they do best. And if Javier Baez had to like plan the travel and work with all the mindsets of people and field the team and make sure like uniforms were there and make sure equipment was there and everybody had their bats and everything, like the guy would fall apart. He would not be a perennial all-star. He would just be another average dude, probably trying to run a podcast on baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so true, man. This is so true. Actually, Dr. Palmer, I know him. He's a doc. Well, he's part of our inner circle, but he's a doc out in Scotland. And he just said, "Hey man, he said, thanks, Jim." He's like, "I just did our first scheduling event with your system, 11 new patients. Bam. First try." So, and I think he has 3 clinics, so I'm sure he'll be doing it in probably all of his clinics. So yeah, I mean, it's a system that works. It's something that I think I believe all docs should check out. I mean, again, we can talk about new patients, we could talk about leads, sales, conversions, whatever you want. And, some of us will say, well, or some people might think, well, the business of chiropractic, we shouldn't talk about that. But the reality is, if you're not in business, you can't help people. So it's all about like having people experience what the gifts are that we can give them, provide them as chiropractors, and keeping them from, the sick care system. So I definitely want to stress that, for all doctors, like if they're looking for something like a new system, and I know even Dr. Palmer, like super successful doc, but clearly there's something there that he pulled from the box. He didn't know it all, right? And he accepted that. So again, head over to the chiropracticphilanthropist.com. We'll have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with Jim today. Also, we'll have links and resources. I'll drop the link actually in the comments here on our thread on Facebook. If you're actually listening on your mobile, go ahead and open up your show notes and you'll find the link is there in the comments. You'll just have to copy and paste it or click it if it's hyperlinked. Jim, is there any other piece of like missing pieces or any other big ahas that you want to drop on doctors before we wrap up the call today?
Well, I think that a lot of times, as we've discussed, in private, that chiropractors think that everything is a click funnel or everything is a Facebook ad, but there's a point to graduate to that. And if you wanted to jump on one of those calls with me, I can talk to people about how you graduate from street hustle to digital hustle. And I think that so many times people are confused. They think that digital hustle becomes before street hustle, but there might be, like you said with Dr. Palmer, there's a sweet balance between both of those. So I think having somebody that understands where to graduate you to and when to down, maybe unramp you from thinking where you're supposed to be to like actually finding like the reality that you live in and helping you with that. I think that that's what we can do with those coaching calls, the 10-minute deals, is I can be an analyst for you and tell you exactly what you need to plug into and how you can do that.
So and thank you for that. Now I have to tell you, I mean, like, I posted this the other day and I've talked about this even, is that one of the best things about or the greatest things about you can do for your marketing or for yourself is just be human. Like be you, right? I got to tell you, I mean, you're one of the best human beings in the profession, dude.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, man. I think it was even you who coined the term, you are the human funnel.
Human funnel system,
I know it's true.
And then there's the 4 legs that I'll leave people with. You have to have a good lead generator, a good lead magnet. And that's you doing these events, or that's you with the Facebook ad, or that's you with the Google ad. And then you have to onboard these people the right way. You have to be able how to use discernment to say, oh, you came from a referral. This is how I onboard you. Oh, you came from an event. That's how I onboard you. So you have to have like a discernment to how you bring people in. And then you have to know how to convert these people. So whether it's a day 1, whether it's a day 2, then you have to get them to stay, pay, and to refer. So really, that's the genesis of the human funnel system. And I really think it's going to revolutionize the way that people do chiropractic business long term. And it's going to really change the way that we have like 1 out of 2 chiropractors that fails after 5 years to improving those stats dramatically.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Dr. Skip here, he's saying, if you need new patients, hire Jim, hands down. So there's lots of people who are in your corner and they're getting results already too. Hey man, I want to thank you for giving back and actually being on TCB podcast today. Completely different conversation. I love, again, I just spoke to someone today about to Justin Martin of Dynamic IQ of look, there's a couple things that we love to have conversations about. And that's one, helping doctors grow their practice, grow their business. So that includes the new patient discussion. Also then how to actually make and keep more money in their bank account. And so those are two of the things I love to talk the most about. So I got to do that today. And I just appreciate you, man. Thank you for giving back on the show today.
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit for us, Ed, and I appreciate the connectivity and being featured on the TPC podcast. And I know that we're all just one story away. We're all one funnel away. We're all one new patient away. And I think when we think about it in those simplistic manners, you're just keep on being social on social and nurture your tribe and see where you can take your own soul genius.
Thank you, brother.
All right, Brad.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to the chiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Chiropractic Philanthropist.